Good evening. This is Vlogmas day 19, December 19th. Today is my father's birthday, so I haven't talked to him yet tonight. I plan to give him a shout after this YouTube live is done, after I finish talking to anyone who and everyone who happens to show up. Uh, um, so, are you in the Christmas spirit yet? I'm starting to get there. I've got all my Christmas gifts purchased. I have a few more gifts to wrap still, but we're starting to get there. The weather around here, it's hard to feel like Christmas when it's 60 mid 60 degrees. Gets cooler at night around here. It's been in the 40s, but nothing freezing or anything like that. We have had a couple of nights where it's gotten a little bit cooler. We've had some frost, and the garden has definitely taken a hit here and there, but we still have things growing out there. We have green beans that are still coming out. So the garden is doing pretty well. But man, Christmas time, it's an interesting season around Dallas-Fort Worth. I love to see all the Christmas lights. Many of my neighbors have Christmas lights out, and I have a couple of friends that go all out for Christmas and Christmas decorations. They are visited by many, many, many people around town. I think they have several houses all together, their neighbors, and they all decorate from the foundation to the roof. They actually have Santa that comes and visits, and he comes out. I think they serve hot chocolate, and they've got the whole tune your radio to this and listen to the Christmas music, and a lot of good stuff. I mean, it's a real production. But I love seeing Christmas lights. I always enjoy outdoor lighting anyway, and whether it's Christmas or not, it's a lot of fun and adds a lot of atmosphere. So, one of these days when we are more have more of the garden done, I want to put some lighting out there in the garden, especially when we do some special events, which we plan to do eventually. It's a lot of fun. And that's the way we're building the garden, so that we can do those types of things. So, Christmas memories. I was talking to Sarah earlier, and I was trying to figure out, it's like, well, what should we talk about tonight? It's, I've been a little, it's been so busy at work, very busy. Last week I was on call, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to do things. But I did manage to get out a couple of videos for Vlogmas. So we've been trying to do that. We put out a couple of recipes and things that we're doing, some trips that we've taken. If you haven't seen our Vlogmas videos that we have put out, they're kind of fun. And Sarah's been instrumental in doing some of the recording for us. The video where we went to Harbor Freight, the road trip, all the road trip video that's on that one, she took. She did great. And it's a lot of fun. So, what about you guys? Do you have any specific Christmas memories that you can remember? I grew up back east, where it actually does get cold, and we did get a lot of snow back there. I remember as a kid, we had paths where you had to walk through, like a maze of snow to get to vehicles, get through parking lots. I remember several feet of snow many times in the Washington, D.C. and Maryland area. We grew up in southern Maryland, outside of Annapolis is where I grew up. And I was born in Washington, D.C. So, I lived in the East Coast for my entire life until 6 days after I graduated from high school. 6 days after I graduated from high school, we moved all the way across the country. We moved to California. And that's where I met Sarah. I met Sarah not long after getting out of high school. She was still in high school. I was 18 and she was 16 when we met. And we got married a few years later after she graduated from high school. And it was funny because I was working at a sporting goods store, retail. I wasn't making a whole lot of money for sure. And working at Big Five Sporting Goods in California. And we knew that if we wanted to get married, there was not much chance that we were going to be able to afford living in the San Francisco Bay Area with me working at Big Five Sporting Goods and she was working at House of Fabrics. I don't know if you remember House of Fabrics. I don't think they're around anymore, kind of like Joann's. But she worked there for a long time, all through when I first met her, she was 16, she was working there. But we knew we couldn't, get married and be able to live in the Bay Area on the money that we were making. So I joined the military, and we were whisked away. Basic training in Texas. My first ever exposure to Texas was basic training. And it gave me a good, feel for Texas, being down. I enjoyed the people of Texas. I was actually in San Antonio during my boot camp, and it was during Thanksgiving, and the people would come to the base and take people that were airmen that were that were in the middle of basic training, and would take them home for Thanksgiving. And I did that, and it was a really nice experience. The people that took me home were very nice. They took us to the zoo, so it was a good experience for me, and my first experience with Texas. But right after that, I got to see Biloxi, Mississippi, and stayed there for a little while. And then the military sent me to Omaha, Nebraska. And if you saw our Vlogmas video earlier, I think it might have been day 3. I talked about when I was moving across the country from Maryland to California, the one place I said I would never live was Nebraska. And the Lord had a sense of humor about that, because that was where he sent us via the military. But, our time in Nebraska was also fantastic. We had great Christmases there. Maureen, our oldest, was born in Nebraska on the military base. And it was during a blizzard in Omaha. It was interesting because we were sitting there. We knew we were going to have a baby soon. And Sarah said, I think I need to go to the hospital. And it was starting to snow. So I said, well, let's go. And we got to the hospital. And she said, well, maybe I should just go home. I don't think this is the time. And I said, well, let's see what the doctor says. And the doctor says, I think we're going to keep you here because we got a lot of snow coming. And sure enough, Maureen came along not too long after that, and that was 1985. And so, Christmas time, 1985, had our first baby, and she has been our bundle of joy since then. I'm sure she'll watch this. So, but it was all good. That was kind of our first Christmas together as a couple, family, is when we had Maureen. Sarah and I, and we had our first little one. We talked about that earlier too on day 3, Vlogmas day 3, where we traveled from Nebraska back to California with a 6-day-old baby. Sarah flew the commercial and I flew military. I got a hop on a jet out of Omaha to California. So that was kind of fun. Interesting Christmas story. So it's one of those things. We've been remembering things back, talking about it this week with Sarah and the kids. Interesting Christmas stories. One of the gifts that I remember as a kid, I remember we lived in this really, really old house back east. And I remember I was probably maybe 8 years old and coming down the stairs on this 2-story house. And there was my first bike. I remember my bike sitting right in front of the Christmas tree. And that was I won't forget that. That was quite a Christmas memory. We also talked about Sarah got me a gift one time. It was a 5-pound box of uh, pear flavored jelly beans. It was one of my favorites. I think I got kind of sick of them after a while. 5 pounds of jelly beans, it was a little much. But yeah, so it was one of those types of things. One year, Sarah got a case. I mean, a huge case of candy canes, and they stuck around for a long time during Christmas. One time, um, if you guys have any stories, I love to hear Christmas stories and hear people, what people remember about Christmas. I know my son, he thought it was kind of fun one time to wrap one of his gifts for his sister with that black, like, I guess it almost like Gorilla Tape. 100%. We had to cut it open to be able to get into the gift. So he thought that was kind of fun. So just interesting stories. Christmas time is, special to me. I love Christmas. One of those things, I've been watching some videos this week, and one of the things that came across my feed was a story about a young, blind, like autistic girl who played the piano. She's like a concert pianist, and her whole story. Her name is Lucy Illingworth, I believe, and she's in the UK. If you haven't seen anything or are interested in an inspirational story, look her up. I could share a video with you, but I don't want to spoil the moment, because I mean, it almost brought me to tears. It's just a special time that this girl, she communicates by playing the piano. She can't really carry conversation. She can, understand, she can understand people when they talk to her, but the way she learned to play the piano was putting her fingers on the fingers of her instructor and just feeling how to play the piano. It's just incredible. And stories like that, I love that about Christmas time, as we start to hear some of these inspirational stories. This morning, there was a story I saw about a Santa Claus, and I don't know, maybe some of you guys have seen it too. He was sitting there, and this little girl comes up, and he starts to ask her what she wants for Christmas. And her mom looks at Santa and says, well, she can't talk, she can't speak. And so Santa looked at the mother and said, does she sign? Can she sign? And the Santa Claus, the mom said, yeah. And Santa Claus started using sign language to talk to this little girl. She probably was like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years old, not very old. And she was able to tell him in sign language what she wanted for Christmas. Very special. I love stories like that. So, it's a good time, good season. It's not great for everyone. I mean, there are other terrible stories that happen this time of year, and I feel for those people. It's just a very difficult time for some people, and I try to remember that as well. But I'm ready for Christmas. I'm going to do a special game. I got most of it set up this afternoon. I don't want to spoil it because, some people might see this video that I don't necessarily want to give too much detail to. But we're going to have a fun little game on Christmas Day, and I'm going to try and video that, and we'll share it with you. Do you play any games at Christmas? I mean, a lot of people do like white elephant type stuff. And, for large groups, and we've done that before, work or, life groups at church or things like that. But our family is, fairly small. There's Sarah and I and our 3 kids. They're not kids anymore. They're all in their 30s, and no spouses yet. None of my kids are married. Maybe one of these days. We keep praying for the right people to come along. But So it's just the five of us, and we have dinner. Actually, on Christmas Day, we have snacks. We make a lot of snacks. Um, Traditionally, one of my daughters, my middle child, um, she likes to share smoked oysters with me. So we always have a can of smoked oysters, and we have finger foods and snacks and things like that for Christmas. We always have homemade cinnamon rolls for breakfast. I'll always look forward to that. The cinnamon rolls are really good. So, and I might talk to Sarah and see if we might be able to share that video or that recipe with people because they are really good. A little different than a lot of people make them, but so they're really good. And we look forward to that. And then we take turns opening gifts. We go one by one, and everybody watches what everybody gets. And whoever opens the gift goes and picks the next one for the next person. So it takes us quite a while to get through Christmas presents. And I kind of like that because we all get to enjoy all of the gifts that everyone gets. So, that's one of the ways that we celebrate Christmas. And not much, different than that. Here in Texas, we seldom see a white Christmas. We have seen white Christmas here once in a while. I think maybe twice in the entire time that we've lived here. We've been in Texas since 1996. And I can remember at least once or twice that we've had a white Christmas. Typically, we get more ice than snow here in Texas, although we do get snow, and it does come occasionally. But more often, if we get the cold stuff, it's usually going to be ice, and not good night. That's not good Christmas. That's not conducive to anyone going to see family and friends or anything like that. So, it's an interesting time. We love Texas, especially in the fall. We can still work out in our garden. Sarah and I were out there working this afternoon, working on a new garden bed, doing a lot of planning, a lot of garden planning, and it's a good time. We've been working on making some cookies, Christmas cookies. So we'll likely share some of those with our friends and family, our neighbors, and get those probably out this weekend over to our neighbors. So it's enjoyable. Can't wait for this Christmas game that I've got going on, but it's going to be fun. So I don't really have much more than that. I don't see any comments or anything like that from anyone coming in, and that's okay. If you happen to watch this on the rewatch, the rewind, or later, the watch later crew, we appreciate you all. And one of these days, we might actually have people that come and attend one of our lives, and that's what we hope for. And it's okay. I can sit here and talk to myself for a while, and but we enjoy people that come and watch later. And if you do, just drop us a note and say, hey, I came in and got to see this, and say hello. We love to talk to people, and I don't want to belabor the point here. We've been going for about 20 minutes now, and I'm looking forward to Christmas. And Sarah's out tonight. That's why she's not here with me, and I figured it'd be a good time for me to come and do a live presentation and do YouTube live. Sarah's out with her ladies group, and Sarah has just a special heart and a special touch. I don't want to spoil what she was doing tonight with a special group of ladies. And one of the things that they did was ornament exchange with a note, talking about the ornament. And what Sarah put together, is really touching. And I was happy to read what she was going to give to the recipient of her ornament. And it's very special. So with that, there's not too much to belabor the point here. And I appreciate the people that have been popping in here. Whether you say hello or add a comment or not, I always appreciate it. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. And with that, this has been Vlogmas Day 19. and Merry Christmas. And we'll look forward to seeing you maybe tomorrow. See if I can put out a video tomorrow. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.